Good evening. I'm Chris Chaney-Selkett, currently chair of the Brookline Commission for Women. So on behalf of the Commission, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 27th Annual Women Who Inspire Us ceremony. Each year, the Brookline Commission for Women sponsors this event in March in celebration of National Women's History. We thank all of you for joining us here this evening to acknowledge the amazing women we have here in our very own community. Tonight, the Commission recognizes 12 students from the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades for their heartfelt essays about women who inspires them. And I also brought tissues. Should people need them? Don't be shy. Tonight, we celebrate the women that inspired their essays and also the Women of the Year and the finalists and the impact that they have made in our lives. So, who are we, this Brookline Commission for Women? The Brookline Commission for Women has 11 volunteer members who are appointed by the Select Board. If you are from the Select Board, please let me know. I think I need a new prescription. So thank you for appointing us. We are tasked with serving as the town's centralizing force in addressing women's issues. The Commission provides information, referrals, and guidance on women's issues and sponsors programs and initiatives that support and promote women in the community. For example, we now have on our website, many thanks to the Diversity Office, an updated childcare resource as well if they're looking for childcare. And some of our signature programs include our Dress for Success annual clothing drive, our children's clothing drives, and a number of programs that we hold each year, such as things on women's health, childcare, and fiscal management. So I want to also acknowledge the many town representatives we have who are joining us here this evening, members of the Select Board, Caitlin Starr of the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Relations. If you can wave your hand, because she's in the back. She's amazing, thank you. And also our members from the Brookline School Committee. I know I saw Suzanne Fetterspiel, and I think Jennifer Monopoly is here. Here you are. Yeah, oh, they're sitting together. Waiting, thank you very much. As well as State Representative Tommy Vitola. I don't recognize him when he is not in the orange. Thank you. And also we have a number of town meeting members and Superintendent Andrew Bott of our schools and Dean of the high school, Brian Poon, but we'll be hearing more from them as well. And of course our teachers and principals and young essayists. We are also joined here by the Women of the Year finalists who will be recognized this evening for their contributions. And I want to just take a brief moment to thank the commissioners that I have the honor and pleasure to serve alongside. First, I would like to acknowledge our amazing treasurer who handles all the money that helps pay for those cheese and crackers in the back, Commissioner Cheryl Snyder. Dr. Gloria Rudish in the front in purple. Not here, I think, but will be back soon, is Rita McNally, who is also a previous Woman of the Year, and she's at a meeting, I think, about affordable housing, and she'll be back again. And you met at check-in Grace Watson and Ginny Voss. Now they're over here. Commissioner Jennifer Goldsmith, who cannot be here tonight. Sonal Javari, who is teaching a class, but will be here very shortly. And Nicole McClellan over here, also known as our photographer for the evening. So these are the women who inspire me every day for their leadership, their dedication to volunteerism, and their passion for making a difference. Before, though, we do this, I also want to say that I am normally a co-chair because of my recently retired after 15 years serving as a volunteer on our Commission for Women is Casey Hatchett. So on behalf of our commission, we would like you to please come up, and you have no idea. So come on up. Nicole, please take a picture of this heartfelt moment. No, you're not done. You just come over here and take some pictures. Casey has been on our commission as a volunteer for 15 years and chair for so many. So I never knew her when I joined the commission 13 and a half years ago, which is longer than I have been married. But she was in on longer, and she was the first friend I made on this commission. She is tireless, selfless, kind, and generous, and she does so much for so many, you would not believe it. And now she works at night in our police department, ensuring that our town is safe while we sleep at night. There's so much more I could say, but the tissues are for everyone to share and not just me. So I'm not going to do that, but let's just say that I have heard from many people that she is the glue of the Commission for Women. She is what people think of when they think of the Brookline Commission for Women. And we are so thankful for your 15 years on this commission and what you do all the time, year in and year out, that no one really notices, but we do. So we thank you. I did not want to say anything, but I think she thanks you. Sorry, but we wanted to do that. So now I want to invite Superintendent Andrew Bott of our Brookline schools here to the podium to address our audience. We are so thankful for this partnership with the schools in making tonight's student essay contest happen. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. I'd like to start with one last recognition and thank you that Chris left off. She left off herself. And Chris serves tirelessly formerly as a co-chair, now chair of the commission, and does so much more in town. And I'd just like to start with just really a show of our appreciation for all that Chris does. Really on behalf of everyone in town. So I want to share a few thoughts with you and some thanks and recognitions. A year ago, I thought back to last year, and I thought about what I shared. And I shared a story, if you remember, of my grandmother, who's now 98. And I talked about her and how she inspired me in her ability over the decades to constantly reflect on and reflect the times. She is someone who changed with the times and always supported people who are around her. And it was remarkable. And even at 98, when getting around with moving across her room is now really difficult for her, she still is inspiring people around her. And I took my son and my daughter recently to see her because they're 11 and 9, and my daughter in particular really caught on to, as she has been learning. So I'm sorry, I'm a little all over the place, so I apologize. My daughter right now has a deep admiration for Ruth Bader Ginsburg at 9 years old. And I don't know how she got it. We got her a book and she read it and she wanted to learn more. And she wanted to learn more and she wanted to learn more. And in this, she has started connecting where she sees others acting in ways that Ruth Bader Ginsburg acts, right? Doing what's right even when it's hard. Doing what's right because it's right for the people around you. And I saw in my 9-year-old and my 98-year-old grandmother, right? This 89-year difference, a real connection. A connection of a very young woman and a woman who has lived almost a whole century and seen things that many of us in this room we only know of through books, and a connection and an inspiration. And so I share that to say that my grandmother remains and will always be someone who inspires me. And my 9-year-old is someone who inspires me. As I see her in the park, in the playground, outside of school, like on the weekends, just standing up for what's right because it's what she believes in. And she has a strength as a young girl that for far too long society squashed, systematically disempowered young women. And I find that so powerful. And so linking that back to tonight, I thought about one other woman who inspired me. And her name is Cheryl Irving, and she was my 6th grade English teacher. And when I found out that I had Mrs. Irving, I was scared. She had glasses, and this probably is not an accurate portrayal, but as a 10-year-old, I felt like she wore her glasses on the edge of her nose and always looked over them at everyone. And my fear was, going into the 6th grade, was that she was someone who would just judge us all the time. We were going to be judged all the time, lots of red ink on our work. And it was a hard year. I remember working hard. I remember a lot of the assignments. There are a lot of things about school that I don't necessarily remember vividly, right? I remember stories and things that happened, but I vividly remember the work in her class. And I got to the end of the year, and I thought, I made it. Good, I'm moving on. And it turns out that she wanted to find out what it was like to teach 7th grade, and followed me. And I, in fact, had her one more time in 8th grade, because she was someone who was exploring all of the things that middle school had to offer. And what I realized is, even in the moment, and more so year after year, is I realized there are countless ways that changed me forever, that Mrs. Irving inspired me, pushed me, changed me. And what is so special about tonight's event is our students, our youngsters, our 8th graders, we're calling you youngsters, our young adults, our 5th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders tonight are sharing stories about people who inspire them right now. One of my biggest regrets was that I never had the chance to tell Mrs. Irving that she inspired me. And that is not something that's happening here tonight. And that is so powerful. It is so incredible that the young adults tonight are sharing in this room the ways that you, those of you in the room, inspired them. And I see the inspiration in all of our teachers in the room. And the teachers, and to everyone who are teachers in the room, I'm not going to ask you to stand up, but you can raise your hand. While you may not necessarily be the person named tonight, you inspire our young adults every day. To family members in the room, to siblings in the room, younger and older brothers and sisters, to family members and community members, each and every one of us inspires. And tonight is rightly about the women in our lives who inspire us. And it is such a powerful night and such an empowering night for each and every one of us. So I thank and congratulate all of our young adults up on the screen for your efforts and your willingness to share with such clarity who inspires you and why, and through your words, inspire all of us. I also want to take a moment while I have the microphone and just say a few words about the Woman of the Year recipient, which, am I giving it away if I say?
No, it's okay, everyone knows, right?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. Lee Hua Shorter is someone who, throughout her career and her life, has inspired countless people. And the words that are written, and Brian Poon will share in detail the words that were written about Lee Hua. What I know, in the moments that I have walked into Lee Hua's classroom, I learn. I remember, just like when I described Mrs. Irving's class, I remember moments walking into Lee Hua's class with Mr. Meyer, and I remember what was happening. I remember the symbols that were on the board. I may not remember what they mean, but I remember the energy and the passion that Lee Hua has for not for what she is teaching, but for the young adults in the room, pushing each and every young adult to be their absolute best. I can think of no one more deserving of this recognition tonight than Lee Hua. I will not steal the remarks that Mr. Poon, that Brian is sharing later, but I do want to say congratulations and ask us all to, at least for the first round of applause, join me in congratulating Lee Hua. So you're not here to hear from me. Folks who know me know I can talk a lot and I love telling stories. I'm going to stop. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank the commission for everything you do each and every day, not just for this event, but for what you do all year in support of Brookline, in support of women in Brookline, in support of our young women in Brookline, and each and every one of us. Because when we recognize and celebrate the power, the impact, and the importance of all the women in our lives, we are all the better for it. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. We have a wonderful night ahead of us.
Now I'm going to turn it over for one of the exciting parts of our evening, which is the student essay contest portion. And our treasurer, Commissioner Cheryl Snyder, will come up and she'll introduce the students. How it's going to go though is the students will come and read their essays, and then when they're done, you can't leave because you have to come and get your awesome, very generously given from the Brookline Booksmith. So feel free, if you're not coming to our awesome libraries, go to the Booksmith to purchase them. Purchase your books there, a gift card, as well as your trophy, and then Commissioner Nicole McClellan would love to take a picture of you. If you're an inspiring woman would like to come up and have a photo with you, you can as well. And there are a lot of inspiring women who inspired those essays, and they will have the purple flowers. And Selectman Green just walked in as well. Thank you, Select Board Member Green. We can clap, it's okay. Thank you. One thing though, be super duper careful when you come on and off the stage because the microphone cord, nobody signed waivers or anything like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to introduce the students. I hope I don't trip over anybody's names. Feel free to correct me if I get anybody's name wrong. But first I'd like to explain a little bit about the rules for those of you who are unaware. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are invited to write an essay about a woman who inspires them. The woman has to be known to them personally and has to be alive. So, you know, there's not a lot of Ruth Bader Ginsburg essays tonight, but it's a great way to learn about our community, to learn about the people in our community. I will tell you that it's one of my favorite days of the year. The commissioners get together, we all have brunch, we read hundreds, literally, of essays, we laugh, we cry, and we choose some of the best ones. So congratulations to all the winners, and we're going to start with 5th grade. So Brianna Yang. Brianna.
There are many women in the world, and I have many women who live in my life, such as my grandma, piano teacher, teachers, aunts, etc. They are all quite inspirational to me as they are to other people. But the woman who inspires me the most is my mother. She is a brave and persevering woman, as well as a kind, helpful, and deep thinker. My mom has always been extremely persistent and brave throughout her life. When she was in 4th grade, she had an accident, after which she had to learn everything all over again. The accident happened when she was bathing, which was heated with carbon monoxide. Something went wrong with the gas tank and the gas filled her bathroom, and she passed out from carbon monoxide poisoning. When she woke up, she had forgotten everything and had to relearn it all, as well as having to catch up with other kids her age. In result, she worked very hard to learn everything. Additionally, when she moved from Hong Kong to Florida during high school, she had to learn a new language in new surroundings. She studied very hard to learn and soon excelled in learning English and adjusting to her surroundings. Also, my mother is pretty open about what she thinks. One time when she had a home visiting job, the nurse was running late and she had to wait outside in the cold until the nurse came. But if she were late, she could be turned down by the nurse, even though she couldn't turn down the nurse. So she expressed her feelings to the person in charge, hoping for a change, but instead got a rude reply. Nonetheless, my mom persisted to learn new things just as she persisted through everything she faced. Although my sister and I can be annoying and irritating, my mom is still forgiving and cares about us a lot. She is always able to cheer me up when upset even if she is busy, or my reason to be upset is over something small. For instance, she usually uses humor and imitates what I do until I laugh. Everything I do is always appreciated by my mother, even if she's sometimes reluctant with my ideas. For example, one time during my piano recital, I tripped on a note, and even though my dad wasn't so happy, my mom knew I worked very hard on it and was proud of me. Also, when we had to present something for a chosen tribe back in 4th grade, I wanted to make the food that they made. Even though my mom wasn't so keen about the idea, she eventually let me do it. When she taught me how to solve the Rubik's Cube, she didn't rush me and get annoyed, even though I constantly asked her for the formula and repeatedly asked her what to do next. Her kindness and caring attitude helps shape me into a caring person. Everyone can be helpful and deep, but my mom is the most helpful and deep person I know. She thinks things through, whether it be about a question or a situation, and explains her thinking with us in a simplified version so we can understand. For instance, she constantly teaches us to look at the opposing opinions and to think of why reasons some people have that opinion. She helps us find solutions for each and every one of our problems. Say we got into a fight with another family member. She lets me explain my feelings and says what the other family member might have been thinking. Lastly, there are a lot of things that she does for us, as well as other people she helps. Her help usually benefits things we do, such as Peers plays, chaperoning field trips, and being room parent for a number of years. Her helpfulness and thoughtfulness motivate me to be like her. The most inspirational woman in my world is my very own mother, Beth. Her strong, persevering character, caring personality, and deep thinking make me feel honored to have her as a mom. All of her experiences and troubles shaped her into the wonderful woman I know, love, and look up to this day.
Mom, will you come up? Yes.
At Commissioner Nicole McClellan. Let me get out.
Thank you very much. It's tough to be the first person, so good for you. Okay, so now we have the second place winner from 5th grade, Eva Bergson.
My great-grandmother, Janice Cooper, who I call Gigi, is the most inspirational person I know. She has had a long and fulfilling life. She is 92 years old. She has been an archaeologist, a painter, a fencer, and much more. Even though she has been busy shattering the glass ceiling, she has always been there for her family. She was born in Boston and raised in New Hampshire, which is also where she raised my grandfather and my great-uncle. Though she was Jewish, growing up she didn't get a Jewish education because girls weren't allowed to study Judaism. So as an adult, she decided to study Judaism. I look up to her because of her amazing accomplishments. One job that she has had is that she is a painter and she still paints. She started drawing when she was 3 years old. Her parents recognized her talent right away and encouraged it. In high school, she was elected the school artist. After high school, she went to the New England School of Art. She has painted many pieces. Most of them are of our family. Recently, she has started copying paintings done by famous painters. She's an amazing painter. At a time when not many women had jobs, she did. She was a designer and colorist for international companies that manufactured women's sportswear. She also illustrated catalogs for women's sportswear. When she was in her 40s, she started fencing. She ended up becoming the second best in all the New England states. She started fencing because a man came to New Hampshire where she lived. He was the first American fencer to ever win a medal in the Olympics, so he taught her. Another job that she has had was that she and my great-grandfather were archaeologists in Israel. They discovered a lot of cool and intricate palaces and buildings from the past. Her job was to draw all of their archaeological finds. She also illustrated a book on archaeology. My great-grandfather died from pancreatic cancer a little more than a year ago. They were married for 70 years. It's really hard to imagine knowing and loving someone for 70 years and then never seeing them again. At first it was really hard for her. She was very sad and she missed him a lot. Then she realized that he wouldn't want her to mourn forever, so she kept living her life. She still misses him a ton, but the fact that she was able to move on is very impressive. My great-grandmother is and always has been there for her family. She is an awesome mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. She always makes sure that she visits a lot. In less than a month, my great-grandmother is coming all the way from Florida for my brother's bar mitzvah. She says that from the day my children were born, I was always there for them and supportive in everything they wanted to do.
If you want, you can all come in. You can are in the hallway. You can make room, come in. There's a space. Oh, yeah. Hey, everyone. There's also snacks.
Thanks, Chris. Now we are going to hear from Dylan Hatchett. Dylan, are you ready? Dylan is the first place winner for the 5th grade and also son of Casey Hatchett, former chair.
A truly inspiring woman to meet is Mandy Golden. Mandy is a Driscoll mom of 4 kids, Leo, Mateo, Milo, and Violet. Her second oldest child, Mateo, has been my best friend since pre-K. Sadly, on November 20th in 2016, Mateo was diagnosed with a cancer called leukemia. Mandy already had the struggle of parenthood, but now she had a bigger battle to fight. The family put Mateo into the Boston Children's Hospital, where he lived for months. During this time, Mandy always had a smile on her face, no matter how tough times got. From my personal interactions with Mandy, she's one of the nicest people that I will ever know. Caring, sweet, and strong. Whenever I would visit Mateo in the hospital, she would always be spending the long nights there, watching her son suffer from a horrible disease. I always heard the inspiring words that she would speak to Mateo, the ones that I remember the most, which I will always stay with me. Don't worry, sweetie, it'll get better. For someone to have enough strength to get through something like that is astounding to me. To watch your own child fight and keep fighting cancer is not only difficult to the person, but it's also difficult to watch a lifelong friend be in such immense pain. Mandy also has this trait within her where kindness is always the most important thing, and that whenever others are feeling down, she tries to make them feel better. It's one of the things that makes her so trustworthy. Whenever I go over to the Goldman home, she is always doing something to help her family members. She is really good at understanding an issue and realizing what she has to do to make sure that nothing bad happens and everyone is safe. For example, she always tends to my food allergies and cooks good food that I am able to eat and enjoy, which goes to show how much she will go out of her way to make others happy. An even bigger act of kindness that Mandy has done happened on February 27, 2018. Mandy and the entire Driscoll school got together to make sure that Mateo could enjoy his first walk back to school after his long illness. Mateo beat his leukemia and was now able to go back to Driscoll school because he could not go into any public places before. So she figured that Mateo's first day back should be one to remember. Almost 300 people gathered near the Goldman home, classmates, neighbors, friends, police officers, and firefighters gathered around to make sure that Mateo felt supported when he walked down Washington Street. People were crowding around and giving Mateo high fives. Mandy took lots of pictures and was smiling the entire event, and happily so was Mateo. Mandy also started the hashtag MateoTough, which now has over 110 posts on Instagram and hundreds of followers. Mateo really was tough, and he deserves a medal for the hard life he has lived, but Mandy doesn't get enough recognition for her fantastic attitude and the heart of gold that she has. She is an absolute, truly inspiration, and that is why I chose her for this essay contest.
Does anyone need tissues? I have them. Just feel free. We have them.
Okay, so now you know a little bit of how our brunch goes. We laugh, we cry. There are really touching moments in these essays. I wish you could hear all 300 of them, but we don't have enough time tonight. So we're going to move on to the 6th grade winners. Our 3rd place winner in 6th grade is Tyler Ford. Tyler.
A woman who inspires me is Miss Woodmaster. She was my 5th grade teacher at Pierce School. In the summer before I was going to 5th grade, we got to visit her classroom. She was very welcoming and friendly, and she also made me feel at ease with starting 5th grade. Miss Woodmaster is one of the most hard-working women I know. Miss Woodmaster is a very busy person, but she always makes enough time for her class and me. She works hard to make the lessons fun for her students. One example was our Bud Not Buddy project. We wrote our own chapter as if it was 20 years later. We would recreate the story, and it was cool to create something off of that story. We also did an architect project with the class and our brother Alex. He came into the class to teach us about architecture. Finally, she organized a running group at Pierce School to promote running for girls. It is called Girls on the Run. Over 50 girls from grades 4 to 8 have joined. Miss Woodmaster is also a wonderful teacher. She is very friendly and always smiling. She has a lot of patience and she helps you until you understand something. She is very dedicated to her students. One way this shows is that she often goes to her students' activities. Last summer, she came to one of my baseball games. It was cool having her teacher there to watch me. It was also cool because I was pitching and I played well. She went out of her way in the middle of the hot summer to contact my mom and find out my baseball schedule. She goes above and beyond. She is always taking pictures of activities in the classroom and sending them to families. She encourages her students all the time and makes you feel comfortable for asking help. For example, last year she would work with students on the floor during math class and help them until they understood it. A great teacher should make all kids feel comfortable and that they're a winner. Miss Woodmaster does this every day. Another reason Miss Woodmaster inspires me is she's very motivated. She is athletic and enjoys running and teaching spin classes. She has run many marathons such as the Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, and the Gloucester Half Marathon, and many more. She is also fun. Last year at the end of the school year, we played knockout in basketball at recess. She has not played basketball a lot, but she tried her best and was just trying to have fun with her students. Last year, Miss Woodmaster did a fundraiser called Hearts for Hurricanes. How it worked was you asked people to donate for every lap you ran around Pierce Park. We ended up raising around $5,000 for hurricane relief. Miss Woodmaster is one of the most inspirational women in my life. She still plays football with my friends and me when she's on recess duty. I hope every kid gets a chance to be in Miss Woodmaster's class and have the same wonderful experience I had with her.
And just so you know, Amy Woodmaster is written in a lot of essays every year. It's incredible. And there are more people in the hallway. You can come in. There's some seats up front here and over here.
It's always so great to see this room full every year. Okay, our 2nd place winner from 6th grade is Rocky Vankowski. Rocky?
My grandmother, Margaret Rita Vieira, otherwise known as Meme, has dedicated her life to caring for others. She ran a daycare in her house from the time my mom was born in 1976 until the time I was born in 2007. When I was born, she retired to help take care of me so my mom could finish training to become a doctor. She lives about an hour away in Georgetown, Massachusetts, And during the summer, she lives on Cape Cod with my grandfather, Ernest Vieira, who we call Grandpa. Since we get to see her a lot, we get to experience all her great qualities. Meme has a fun personality, she's supportive, and she's super strong. Meme is caring, creative, and loves to have fun with her family. Meme loves to organize games with her family and friends and has taught me how to play many of the games she loves, such as Michigan Rummy, Quips, and a game called Oh Hell. Meme loves playing games, but if you're trying to win, then that's a whole different story. She tries her hardest at any game she's playing, no matter who the competition is. While she often beats us at games, she usually has gifts for me and my cousins, most of which are homemade. For example, this Christmas, she made us all matching hats and mittens. Whenever I'm bored or don't know what to do, I can always turn to my Meme for some fun. Meme is one of the most supportive and helpful women in my life. Whenever she's available, she comes to me and my brother Leo's sports games. She's always one of the loudest fans in the stands. She also helped me make costumes for my play Beauty and the Beast last year. When my parents have to work or have events to attend, she and Grampy come to watch me and my brother. It makes me feel good inside when Meme supports me by coming to my games and plays and taking care of us because I know she cares about me. Last but not least, Meme is one of the strongest and most confident women I know. One example of her strength is when she got diagnosed with a type of cancer called multiple myeloma. She fought through it for several months and finally got out of the hospital. One time, when we went to visit her in the hospital, we were playing quicks and I was winning by a lot. But even though Meme was worn out from her cancer treatment, she came back and beat me. She also fights for women's rights and believes in equality. After Trump was elected in 2016, Meme and my mom and my Aunt Mary marched in the Women's March in Boston. Even though she seems like a sweet grandmother, Meme is not afraid to speak her mind and stand up for herself. When people told her to wear a hat when she was bald due to cancer treatment, she just took it off. I thought it was pretty cool and brave of her. Even though people could have made fun of her, she still didn't wear a hat. The fact that Meme is confident and strong makes me proud that she's my grandmother. All in all, my Meme is fun, helpful, and a very strong woman. She plays a big role in my life, and I love her very much. As I get older, I'm looking forward to playing more games with her and making her proud. Maybe one day I'll actually be able to beat her.
Okay, and the first place winner for 6th grade is Julia Cherwin. Julia?
The person that I would like to nominate to be the Brookline Woman of the Year is Tatiana Goldwood. Tatiana is an art historian who from an early age has known the trials and tribulations of surviving. She is currently helping a refugee family resettle here in Brookline. From an early age, Tatiana had to learn how to be a survivor. Her family lost everything during World War II, and she lived in an orphanage. Tatiana's father was a survivor of a concentration camp. After the war, she was reunited with her mother in a displaced persons camp. Tatiana shared with me how lucky she felt to be reunited with her family because so many other people did not share that experience. After the war, Tatiana herself was a refugee in Sweden and came to the United States as a young bride. I found this really interesting because Tatiana's story is very similar to the story that my bubby Pauline tells me about my family's history. My bubby was born in a displaced persons camp in Germany after World War II. I was honored that Tatiana's story was so similar to my own. Tatiana's family were survivors in the Holocaust, and the refugee family that she is helping is Yazidi, which has a lot of parallels with the Jewish religion. Tatiana says that helping people is just the right thing to do. I think that that is the right thing to do. I think that it is the right thing to do to help people in need. That is exactly what Tatiana does.
Something that Tatiana hopes to happen in the future is that she wants people to live peacefully and respectfully, side by side, without fear and anxieties because of our differences. This fall, I met Tatiana and she introduced me to Dilly and his family, Yazidi refugees from the Syria-Iraq border. This family has gone through a lot of struggles in the past 3 years. They have 2 kids. On his first birthday, one of their kids, Dilly, was badly burned in mid-action, which much of his face was severely burned. With the help of Tatiana, Dilly was brought to Boston by an organization called Road to Peace to receive treatment at Shriners Hospital, and after being separated from his parents for 4 months due to the travel ban on Iraqis, the family has been reunited in Brookline. Tatiana has helped this family in every way. Tatiana helps the family around the house, goes grocery shopping, and babysits, and so much more. I bet their family is very grateful for her help. I think that Tatiana is a very special person. She has inspired me to do good things as well. I raised money at my Hebrew school for the same refugee family. My goal was to raise $360, but with all my hard work and help from Tatiana, I got up to raising $1,800. This will last them about 12 weeks of feed. I think that Tatiana has done great things and that we should all follow in her footsteps.
Yes. While we're having technical difficulties, I see that a past Woman of the Year and a current commissioner has just walked in. Rita McNally, can you just wave, honey? Hi. Okay, so we're halfway there. We are into the 7th grade winners. The 3rd place, oh my goodness, the 3rd place winner is also a son of Casey Hatchett. Will Alex Hatchett please come up and read his essay?
The woman I picked for my essay project is my family friend and role model, Debbie Kleiner. Debbie has been alongside me and my family for as long as I can remember. She has always been there, and she's always treated me with open arms. As I started hanging out with her and her daughter all the time, Molly became one of my best friends. And not so long after that, I saw how hardworking and amazing Debbie is. Whenever I'm at her house, she always finds ways to keep us happy and entertained. Debbie goes above and beyond each time. If it's making lemon squares or paper mache eggs, I never get bored while I'm there. Debbie also introduced me to something called Art Barn. Art Barn is an acting troupe that teaches you things like singing, dancing, and acting. I soon fell in love with it. Debbie always helped me drive me there after school and pick me up late at night. Because of Debbie, I found my love for singing and dancing, and she never stopped encouraging me the whole way through, which must have been hard because I was a lot more shyer than I am now. She helped grow me as a singer and as a person. Debbie is also a preschool teacher for the BEAT program. But she doesn't only teach her kids, she goes above and beyond what normal teachers do. For example, Debbie is there to help her students with problems, like not having a winter jacket, or having enough food at lunch, or even needing a clean diaper. Debbie is there to help with all of it. Debbie also teaches her kids things like reading and plans extra fun activities the kids can do each day. She figures out ways to teach the kids the right curriculum and make sure that it's set to what that specific student needs help on. She makes sure that each student is having fun during the day and makes sure that the games help the students gain knowledge on things that are academically helpful from them, such as memory games, math games, science projects, spelling, and more. Aside from being an amazing teacher, Debbie also helps make time out of her day to bring our families together, be there for her family and friends, and help drive her daughter Molly everywhere from her ballet classes. She's always there to support Molly and her son Noah whenever they need help, from needing help with homework to just needing to be cheered up. While Debbie's day is very busy, she always makes time to help her family and mine. Debbie is an amazing woman, and she is almost like a second mom to me. After spending almost my entire life with her and this family, Debbie always finds a way to make me feel like I'm part of theirs. I wouldn't ever want anything to change about her. She is the hardest working woman I have ever met.
That's saying a lot too, because his mom is actually Casey.
Okay, and our second place winner from 7th grade is Kevin Nasir. Kevin?
So Kevin, you'll just come up and we're gonna take a picture, if that's okay. So, oh, he's gonna read it. Okay, so Kevin's gonna read it. Yes, you may use your phone.
First off, hi, and thanks for being here. Okay, so, my mother, Gunasudivir Pandian, hard name, is an Indian woman who was born in the small town of Sivagangai, located in South Tamil Nadu in India. She's always worked hard in her life and comes from a humble background. She's loving, caring, sweet, and most of all loyal. She's an amazing person and an even better mother who works to always put her kids first, and no matter what, she's always and will always keep us happy. When Gunna first moved to the US from India, she did not know anybody, any of the language, or finances in this new country. She had to start from scratch to build up everything. She knew what she had to do, and so without hesitation or putting anything off, she worked hard towards her goal to build a life and a family and become a living part in her community. After all of these years, now she has 2 children that love her very much, but whose love will never be matched by that in which she gives us. She moved to the US lonely and scared, but has risen to become a brave and courageous mother of 2, has owned a house, and can fluently speak English. After learning about all the necessities that were needed for her to adapt and integrate into her community, she had what she had dreamed for in America, life in the foreign place and a family. But after having everything that she worked hard for, it was all taken away. Although this had mounted a large obstacle in her path, she found a way to go around it and continue on her journey to create the best life possible for her and her family. This, out of all, a woman rising above the ashes of her previous failures, is a true inspiration to not just me, her son, but to anybody who would hear her story, in my opinion. Proceeding after her failures and into her new success, the success did not come easily, for she had to work hard to make sure that she could provide and keep her family safe and happy. She worked extremely hard to always provide for her family. This happened 3 years ago, but now she's become successful and once more happy. In conclusion, after moving to America seeking a better life for herself from India, she's become a high-ranking project manager in the Department of Public Health and has helped thousands of people with the work that she has done to help better the health of our communities. She's also very proud that she's been managing a project for the cancer registry migration in Massachusetts. She has also become a great investor and learned from all her mistakes. Overall, Gunna, my mother, is an amazing woman and a mother who inspires me every day to continue to persevere through all of my struggles and stay positive like her, and that no matter what, when you try hard and are surrounded by those whom you love, you will always succeed. Thank you.
That was my fault. I thought she had it. I need Casey up here.
Okay, and the first place winner for 7th grade is Jack Henry. Jack?
My mom, Kathy Henry, is the general counsel at Eastern Bend, but that's not what's inspiring about her. She is an inspiration because of what she does for those in need. She went to Haiti to give kids clothes. She's very involved in PAIR, which stands for Political Asylum Immigration Representation. She defended 2 child soldiers' asylum rights when they came to this country, and she's the best mom ever. She is an inspiration for me because she is what we all hope for in a person and much more. I chose my mom over all the other inspiring women in my life because she went to Haiti to clothe kids that did not have much, and she provided professional support to pair. When I saw the pictures of the kids in Haiti with my clothes, and I saw my mom, I knew she impacted their lives. She is also very involved in an organization known as PAIR, which helps get people asylum rights in America. It's super inspirational that my mom works to help people who have been harmed or in harm's way, and now those people need to leave their country and come to a better place like America. Those victims of cruelty get new, happy lives. Another way my mom inspires me is because she helped make two child soldiers' lives much better. My mom defended them in court, helped them get permanent citizenship, and also helped comfort one of the boys when his brother was shot in his home. I know that those kids could be in a war that was not theirs or dead. Instead, they got a new home thanks to my mom. My mom is also an inspiration to me because she's an amazing mom. She always shows her love and jokes with us. She's also so much fun to be around and loves to play sports with me and my siblings. She's an inspiration because she's everything I want to be when I'm an adult and a very generous person who comes to her time and money for charity. My mom is the most inspirational woman in my life, not because of her job, but because of the acts of kindness she does every day. She is the most loving mom there is in the world. She also helped two brothers that had seen their family killed and fought in a war as kids. And another inspirational thing about her is that she went to Haiti multiple times to give kids clothes and love. And lastly, she's very involved in the organization known as PAIR. My loving mom is doing good by people every day and working in a very demanding job. Thanks, Mom.
My three kids are in the back. Are you paying attention? One is in 3rd grade. We have a few years.
She's taken all my fun lines. Okay, so 8th grade. We have the 3rd place winner, who is Constanza Castillo. Constanza? Connie?
The woman who inspires me is my cousin Daniela Lopez. She is 21 years old. She was born in Arica, Chile, in South America, but now she lives in Santiago, Chile. I chose her because she's really close to me. I feel like she's my older sister, even if she's not. She is also my inspiration because when I'm older, I want to be like her, a professional tennis player. She's also my inspiration because she's kind. For example, she helps me and many other people to improve tennis by giving tips or showing how to do it better. She's kind to people by talking kindly or showing kindness, like giving poor people food and clean water. Sometimes she gives them clothes too. Another personality of hers is she's funny. She makes me laugh a lot when I'm with her, and she makes funny jokes. So in general, she's a funny person with the best personality ever. She's always happy, and when something is going wrong and is not going as expected, she always looks at the positive things and not at the bad and negative things. She's the happiest human I have ever known. She's also really organized with her books, and she's basically really organized with everything. I like when she makes her suitcase to travel around the world, doing her thing that in this case is playing tennis. Her suitcase is the best looking one out of all, and I really like her organization, the organization that she has. Those are one of the best things I see in her, but one really important one, and maybe the most important one out of all, is that she's passionate for her job. She trains very hard, and she gives all her effort in physical training and playing tennis. She gives 110% for everything she does. And one also very important thing is she believes in herself. So she also is passionate for her family, meaning she cares about them more than herself and loves them more than herself. That's why I chose her, because I believe one day I will be a good person just like her.
We don't pay for travel.
No matter how good your suitcase is. Okay, so the second place winner is Jerry Yang. Jerry?
As soon as I read this question, woman appeared in my mind promptly. I know a lot of women, but I think she's the most admirable one. She lives like most people do. She perhaps just a normal person in other people's eyes, but not mine. She's Miss Curran. Miss Curran is our English teacher, but she's like our mother. She always talks for her students, and she never gives up on anything for us. All the students, including me, think she is our best teacher. There are so many things I can gain from her, and she really animates me a lot. I really like the quote by Maggie Gallagher. Of all the hard jobs around, one of the hardest is being a good teacher. It's absolutely correct to say that Miss Curran is a good teacher. No doubt, she's my favorite teacher. She's done a lot for us, but there's one I never forgot. For example, once she was sick so much, and she could barely speak. All the students were thinking she was going to be absent. We spent a little time on guessing what our new substitute would look like. But soon we found out the answer. Miss Curran came to school as usual, even though she looked tired and sick. On that day, she was still trying to teach us things, and she really did a good job. All of us were amazed by her. Yes, sickness can hurt the human body, but not our mind. In the English class, we are quite like fighters and study very hard. All of us learn more things than ever. Another reason we like her is her class is also very amusing. Last time, we learned about Lowell cotton mill and the New England area. After months of study, we decided to have a field trip to Lowell and went for a real cotton mill. It was such a fun trip. We spent the whole day looking around the mill and asking questions. We also learned more things by visiting a small museum and watched an informative movie there. After that, we learned how the workers collected cotton and made them into big pieces of textile, how the machines work, and how the workers' daily schedule looked like. It was a great day, and all the students wrote interesting essays after that. It was always very fun in her class, and we really loved to study with her. The time with her always passes so quickly that it has become very precious to us. Even though we will graduate soon, we are never going to forget the good time we spent together with Miss Curran. Thank you.
Okay, so we've heard about mothers and great-grandmothers and friends' moms and teachers and even a cousin. Now we're going to hear about a sister. The first place winner from 8th grade is Molly Lewison. Molly?
For as long as I can remember, I have lived in a world of books. I've surrounded myself with strong women with fiery hair and witty attitudes. I've drawn important lessons and values for them, but when I was approached with the prompt of what woman in my life was most inspiring, well, they didn't hold a torch. The women who did were far superior, made of flesh and bone, who serve as my ultimate guide for everything. The first that came to my mind was my sister. Growing up with her, I was given the key to a world full of Netflix episodes and superb fashion sense. However, aside from that, she was also my personal pillar of strength, without whom I could not stand. She conquered a brain tumor and was an advocate for those who suffer in the darkness of an eating disorder. She taught me to be unapologetically loud in a world that tries to silence me. When she was 4 years old, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. She fought valiantly until she beat it and went into remission. Her story gives the strength to many others that allows them to continue onward in the hopes of a similar ending. Last April, she ran the Boston Marathon for pediatric oncology. As her feet pounded the ground with every step during those 26.2 miles, I was reminded of not only the impact she's left on me, but on so many others. 12 years following her remission, our brother's illness took a turn for the worst, and through the turmoil, she never left my side and held my hand until his untimely death. Her courage never wavered, and when she spoke, her voice never shook. Her life has been filled with tragedy, but through it all, she's risen above. My sister also inspired me to look to many other strong women, including my mother, whose vastness of her heart continues to inspire me each and every day. And all the other women who've come into my life and forever have left an impact. However, although Callie has made sure my life has been filled with powerful female role models, I doubt she ever realized the person I most wanted to be in this world was her. Perhaps the qualifying factors of an inspiring woman is someone who holds respect, or someone to look up to. Maybe it's the person you love most in this world. I had a lot of trouble with this prompt, as there are many people in my life who more than deserve this title. However, I've decided that the most inspiring woman in my life is the women we are when we're together. In a world full of hatred and division, it was necessary we unite to empower those who are locked behind the bars of our very own society, to empower those who hold prisoner tongues. We went to marches, spoke our minds, and made small differences to the way women are perceived in this world. Together, we're powerful. Together, we're unstoppable. And together, we're inspiring. Wow, I have tissues.
I'd just like to thank all of the essay writers, the winners, and those who didn't get chosen because we only have time for 12. This is just a sampling of some of the great, inspiring women in this community, and I'm very proud to live here and hear about all of this, so thank you all. We're going to take a little intermission.
So we're just going to take a 2-minute break in case my children are tired and need to leave, and other children as well, because I know it can be hard to have bedtimes, but we're just literally going to take a 2-minute break. There's also more snacks and fruit as well, and we're going to come right back and celebrate our Women of the Year finalists and Women of the Year. So feel free to stretch, in particular those who are seated. Women in Brookline impact so many lives through their compassion, their vision, their sense of possibility, and the ability to make amazing things happen. And when I say many lives, here's an example. I also want to say that these words were written by Commissioner Jennifer Goldsmith, who is sorry that she cannot be here this evening. So those eloquent words were not mine, those were Jennifer's. She wrote about both of our Women of the Year finalists, and I want to honor those women and the work they do in Jennifer's words. She wrote, "This year, 3 women, our nominees and winner, have designed programs for thousands of artists, orchestrated the knitting of hundreds of blankets for asylum seekers, engaged numerous nonprofits in a masterful matchmaking on MLK Day that drew more than 500 attendees this year, and created a cohesive community, served as a teacher, mentor, and confidant at Brookline High School. These women have changed countless lives." So first, I'd like to tell you about Lauren Riviello. To tell you about Lauren, I need to share some of the work of the Brookline Arts Center with you. The Brookline Arts Center offers classes, exhibitions, and outreach, and for 55 years, Brookline Arts Center has been one of the most forward-thinking and comprehensive art centers in Boston and nationally. Lauren joined the Brookline Arts Center in the fall of 2013 and has served the center in a variety of roles, currently as executive director. Her passion for the visual and performing arts has driven her career focus and driven the center forward. If you're not familiar with the Brookline Arts Center, let me tell you about what they do in Lauren's role. The Brookline Arts Center has more than 20 faculty, over 5,000 students and visitors annually, over 400 classes and workshops, and 10 exhibitions annually, 25 school partnership classes, community outreach initiatives in collaboration with several organizations, public art community events, and an artist residency. Working with the Brookline Arts Center's Gallery Committee of Artists and arts professionals, Lauren has developed a comprehensive exhibition program that includes annual, regional, and national juried exhibitions, an exhibition proposal series, site-specific installations, and artist residency. Lauren is deeply committed to providing opportunities in art that are accessible and welcoming to all. Programs she has developed focus on best practices in arts education, intergenerational learning, public engagement, and collaboration with area artists, organizations, schools, and university. While Monmouth Street is the home of the center, Lauren has worked to extend the Brookline Arts Center's reach in the community, expanding financial aid and outreach programs, elevating the Brookline Arts Center's gallery offerings, creating opportunities for public art, and further developing classes. She has developed events, classes, performances, and public arts initiatives that serve lower income individuals and families in our community. Beyond the Brookline Arts Center, she serves on the board of directors of Women and Girls Thriving in Brookline and participates on the steering committee of the Brookline Open Studios and worked tirelessly to develop partnerships with our Brookline Housing Authority, Brookline Food Pantry, and Brookline's Parent-Child Home Program. Under her leadership, they have increased their annual scholarship awards to over $11,000, established free classes in our Brookline Housing Authority's High Street and Egmont buildings, and expanded opportunities for families to participate in free arts events all year. As anyone who has done so knows, managing a nonprofit is not all glamour and art openings. Lauren juggles many priorities, meets sometimes competing organizational needs with grace and efficiency. Whether it's a leaky basement, a sick faculty member, or a shy or hesitant child, she responds to each individual situation with warmth, compassion, and creativity. She juggles, readjusts, delegates, responds to the varied situations, ensuring that events, exhibitions, class schedules, and public art activities all run smoothly. Lauren is focused on the goal of creating a thriving art program, and in doing so, she helps to create a thriving community. So thank you, Lauren. And we ask that you please come up. We have a certificate. Hadassah. Okay. She was standing there. This room was so packed. Sometimes the nominees, again, this is Jennifer Goldsmith's words, she's a very good writer. Sometimes the nominees, and I feel bad that I'm reading because she should be here. Sometimes the nominees for Women of the Year have been active in town for decades, which is humbling to us as commissioners, but can also make us feel like it takes decades to make change and impact. This year, we are recognizing as a nominee Hadassah Margolis, who has acted best and with a sense of possibility and made dramatic and quick change in Brookline while planting the seeds for impact for years to come. Hadassah grew up across the street from the Coolidge Corner School, which your daughter now attends, but Hadassah's impact that we are recognizing is about vision she's brought to the town in just the past few years, not those that she spent in town from her childhood. If you have ever tried to get your head around the many organizations doing good work in Brookline and how to connect with them, you might have felt overwhelmed. For several years on MLK Day, volunteers in town led a food drive and a book drive. Those were great opportunities to contribute, but there was room to do so much more. That is where Hadassah brought vision and action. For 2 consecutive years, Hadassah has made Brookline a righteous place. As the founder and force behind Inspo Expo, she has brought to the attention of hundreds throughout our town nearly 100 projects that generate goodness in today's world. She has grown stakeholders for each of these projects and also established an ongoing weekly presence for these exceptional efforts to gain new adherents at the farmers market all summer and all winter. Her passion for elevating beyond rallies, vigils, and hashtag movements serves as an inspiring model that may yet become scalable for cities and towns across our Commonwealth and our country. According to Hadassah, it's not just about remembering MLK, but about putting his legacy into action, ranging from environmental causes to voter education to work surrounding race and racism. While many established organizations, such as the Women of the Year Voters of Brookline and Year Up Greater Boston, fill tables, the event was open to anyone with an idea and was attended by more than 500 people. Hadassah Margolis has created and brought to life the idea of an Inspo Expo, developing a truly remarkable new town tradition. She also secured a table at the Winter and Summer Farmers Market so organizations can rotate throughout to present their great work, making this more than a once per year trip. If you have not been to Inspo Expo in the past, I hope this description inspires you to explore. That is not all that Hadassah has brought to Brookline. If there is one issue that has pained our country since 2016 and long before, it's how we welcome or exclude those who are entering our borders. I think there is no issue that perpetrates a sense of tragedy, but also powerlessness among us. So creating a sense of welcome for those least welcome upon arriving in the U.S. is ponderous yet essential. Hadassah shared this feeling, but also moved to action by making Brookline a part of the national Welcome Blanket movement, providing knit blankets for our newest arrivals. Hadassah launched the Brookline Welcome Blanket Knitting Circle, which knits welcome blankets for asylum seekers at our borders and exhibits them to spread an understanding of this need. Not only is this a super inspiring project, she brings together a knitting circle twice each month to work together. This group is both retro and extremely current. The groups that gather are various ages, backgrounds, and knitting skill level. This authentic community gathering is really powerful by finding universality and shared humanity. Hadassah has become an ambassador of this project throughout Brookline, including at the Senior Center, developing intergenerational engagement. So again, I want to say, I hope that you will think when you see these blankets and you come here, because they're here and everywhere, and they also meet here in our Brookline libraries, that you'll remember the work that she's done, and also that she's connecting us with those who are newly arriving, creating a more welcoming and inclusive community here. So thank you, Hadassah. Welcome back. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you so much. So your program says Brookline High School Headmaster Anthony Meyer is going to come and introduce Lee Hushwater. He's not here. There are so many things going on at the same time. I'm sure he will tell you that he loves you and he is here in spirit. But everyone wants to talk about you and your amazingness. So again, it's too much awesomeness. But we're going to start off first with the dean of the high school, Brian Kuhn, who will first introduce Lee Hua's work because they know her best.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to extend Anthony Meyer's regrets. He intended to be here, but he's double scheduled for a presentation at Baker School. And his plan was to begin the presentation at Baker School, drive over here, talk about Lee Hua, and then drive back to Baker School. And at around 4:30, 5 o'clock today, we said, that's not practical. And I volunteered to speak about Lee Hua. And so but I have to say that I feel humbled and not particularly worthy of this honor. And I say that when I look around the room, and Lee Hua's laughing at me now. And I say that because I think of all the people who know her well. And when I told her that I was introducing her, she said, you need to get it over quick so I can get out. I'm going to try to be quick, but I'm not going to be that quick. In terms of the people who know Lee Hua well, You're looking forward in your front of the room, and I know you kind of want to hide through this, but I want you to turn around and look. First, I want to acknowledge all of her colleagues from Brookline High School. If you could stand up so that she could look. Come on, stand up. And people who used to work with her. The other people who are in the room, you see the people squatting over to my right and lining the walls. If her students could stand up so that Liwa could see, look around the room and see where they are. We have current students, we have alums who want to come and honor Liwa Shorter because she's been so influential. We were just at a meeting 2 hours ago, and I was talking to her about how important she has been not only for Brookline High School, but also the Asian American community in Brookline. And one of I saw Chi-Chi. If the members of Brookline Asian American Family Network could stand, or if your son or daughter was taught by Liwa, could you stand so that she can look? These community members know that Liwa's work goes so far beyond the classroom. Liwa and I share a couple of bonds. Dave Ford is also 20. We've been teaching at Brookline High School for 21 years. And so she and I came to Brookline High with Dave in the same year. And one of the things about having Liwa as a fellow teacher is that 21 years ago, there were very few Asian American teachers at Brookline High School. And Liwa and I knew it. And we would see each other and we'd be like, yeah, I see you. and that's so critical because she's not only an amazing teacher in the classroom, and she's not just a symbol. What she has done to nurture the Asian American community in Brookline goes beyond her classroom. I tell you, this is a story that I wrote to the commission. It was last month, and it was a Friday, and I had to stay after school for some committee that I was working on. And I walked downstairs, and there's Liwa and a bunch of her students setting up the MLK room, the Martin Luther King Jr. room, with all of this programming for Chinese New Year. And I go to her, that's like, aren't we doing this next week? And she goes, yes, but we always run a program for the elderly Chinese community. And so she relies on her students. She sort of like has her patented high expectation for you with loving warmth and some sternness, right? And they're setting up the MLK room for elderly Chinese in the community to come in. And I go, well, when is this going to happen? Tonight? She's like, no, it's happening tomorrow, on Saturday. So Liwa is setting up the MLK room for a program for elderly Chinese folk that she says they've just gotten used to it, and so this is what we do. And the thing is, and I want to make sure, I know Fusang's there helping set up too, because he's like, oh, whatever, I got you. Right? But that speaks to Liwa, a phenomenal teacher, so loving of her students, helping lead APAC, the Asian Pacific American Club, for 2 decades. But what she symbolizes to our community, the work that she does, has made Asian Americans at Brookline High School more visible. I had the honor of teaching her son. She teaches my son. There are certain bonds that a parent has with someone who takes care of their kid, which are incalculable. But when we celebrate Liwa Shorter as Woman of the Year, I think that when she she'll say, I'm humbled, it's not about me, it's about everyone. When she's talking about everyone, she's really talking about the Asian American community of Brookline. When we honor her, we see our community, who sometimes are not seen, but Lee-Hwa Shorter sees us. So I apologize that Mr. Meyer cannot be here, but I am honored and humbled to introduce Lee-Hwa Shorter as Woman of the Year.
You can help, but then you can sit down. We have more introductions. Just sit down. You're not ready yet. But we're not there yet. There's more. So next, we also, of course, nominations, there were too many to choose from, and so I probably alienated like 20 other people who were like, why wasn't I selected to do this thing, to introduce her? I'm very sorry. They are tough decisions. But now I want to introduce Miles Leong, who also sent in a nomination and is a former student who came back from college. Come on up.
What's up, Miss Shorter? I'm back. So, beautiful words by Mr. Poon. But as you all know, he's a peer of Miss Shorter. So I'm gonna keep it real. Miss Shorter has sent me to my dean maybe 3 times over the course of the 2 years of her teaching me. But she's still one of my favorite teachers, and I come back to visit whenever I can. This is my spring break, so I didn't come and visit her just yet because I wanted to make this a little surprise. I didn't know my name was going to be in the program, but surprise. So, uttering the name Lee-Hwa Shorter to any student or faculty member at Brookline High School is sure to almost always draw out a smile. Her co-workers know her as Lee-Hwa, but her students affectionately call her Lao Shi, meaning teacher in Mandarin. As a teacher, she has taught so many students and affected so many lives. As an activist, she has fought for many years as a bastion of the often soft-spoken Asian American community in Brookline. As a more hard-spoken Asian American individual in Brookline, I instantly bonded with Miss Shorter in my freshman year taking her class. Given the fact that I was a freshman, I was a bit shy, so I found her room 200 to be a comforting place to be when I wanted to exercise the shy part of my personality. Lee-Hwa masterfully leads the Asian American youth and community of Brookline, all while still being a teacher and a mom. If I was still a student and asked her, how does she do this? How does she master all of these activism, family, and teaching roles all at the same time? She would probably say to me, finish your missing assignments, then I'll tell you. It is often said that children are the future. The future of Brookline lies in the hands of its youth, and needless to say, Lee-Hwa plays a huge part in making those youth become the biggest, best, and brightest they can be. Thank you so much, Lee-Hwa Shorter, for your service to the Brookline community.
This is terrible. I didn't know you were going to be so good, and then I have to come after you. It's terrible, Miles. I thought we talked. Okay. So I did want to add from the commission that there were many nominations to read from, and I wanted to just highlight a few things. Because sometimes people think it's just her students, but you've impacted the larger community, and I know people mention that. So borrowing from some of your nominations, people said, Lee-Hwa is the mentor in students' lives that is sometimes missing. They've called you a secondary mother figure. That you have made Brookline, the whole community, more inclusive and more culturally proficient. That you make the Chinese language come alive for others. That her students thrive in her classroom. Some have said in their nominations that no other teacher has such a long-lasting impact on the future of their students. And I could go on, but the library will close soon. Again, I want to say that her impact is felt beyond this moment and the Brookline High School. Asians are the largest minority group in Brookline, at 16%. They are the largest community of color, and it's not always reflected in the administration and in our town. But she is a very big part of making sure that voices are heard. She helped to create the Brookline Asian American Family Network that advocates for the needs of our Asian American students and families. She not only, I didn't know she runs this program for like elder Chinese seniors, I didn't know that, but she also does it for the entire Brookline community, where like nearly 300 people all over Brookline, and apparently, according to RSVPs, as far as Worcester come. I've seen Worcester and I was like, whoa. So they come every year to celebrate the Lunar New Year, and a lot of it they come because of your activities that educate and increase awareness. So you do so much more. I have tissues if you need them. We are so thankful. So, if Commissioner Cheryl Snyder can figure this out, we invite Li Hua up to get a certificate, a beautiful glass trophy, the largest bouquet at Albert's Flowers that we could afford in our budget, and also a citation from Senator Cindy Cream as well. I hope you brought a bag. So, congratulations to our Woman of the Year. You have this.
When the photos are over, I'll take those from you. Okay, everybody good? Okay.
And then Li Hua, you can come up and speak now, of course. Also, many thanks to Selectman Green and Franco who are in the house. Thank you.
Now I really just want to go home. Thank you so much. I'm really humbled. So first of all, I want to thank those who nominated me, the wonderful parents of the Brookline Asian American Family Network, Chi, Andrew, Sheila, and Linda, my esteemed colleagues, Agnes, Rachel, Fuzhen, Brian, Anthony, and Bob. Actually, most of them are my boss, except Fuzhen. And my students, Miles, Adam, Andrew, Jessica, Chris, and Leo. I am deeply honored and humbled by the fact that so many people worked on my nomination. Many of those people are actually the ones that helped me on this journey. So I am truly humbled and grateful. 21 years ago, the former BHS headmaster, Dr. Mantraub, interviewed me for a teaching position. At the time, he said, "I hope you will take the job. I think it's going to be a great marriage." Well, Bob, right now I'm feeling the marital bliss. I came to America 29 years ago with $500 in my pocket. I didn't know a single soul on this land. Like millions before and after me, I came here for the American dream and American ideals. I can honestly say it's been a truly fulfilling journey. Besides my loving husband and my son, Brookline is a major part of it. For the last 21 years, Brookline has been more than a workplace. It has been a sanctuary in many ways. The Brookline bubble, we call it. I feel fortunate to have had this bubble to return to when a perfect stranger in Randolph, where I live, pay taxes, shouted at me the day after Christmas, "Go back to China." Just imagine that. As an educator, I feel fortunate to work in a community that values the work teachers do with kids. We're not perceived as tools to help with test scores. We're supported and encouraged to dream big in our effort to provide a quality education for our students. I feel proud to be a member of the BHS community, an institute full of talented, caring, loving, dedicated, and most importantly, good-looking teachers. I want to say that we became teachers for money and fame, but I guess you won't believe that. We chose this profession because we truly believe in our mission and our passion. We can and have made a difference in the lives of our students. But at the same time, those adorable students have taught us a thing or two. And I'm afraid I can't share with you most of that. Contrary to their facade, the teenagers are actually pretty interesting and insightful human beings. They can be loud and full of themselves sometimes. That doesn't sound right, right? Well, let me rephrase that. They are loud and full of themselves most of the time, if not all the time. But they're just young people trying to find their voice and place in the world that they will inherit and manage. So the joy of teaching is helping them navigate through the maze. Working with teenagers is never boring. It is an ongoing process of learning, discovering, and making adaptations. I think I'm a better person, a better teacher, and a better mom because of all my students. So for that, I want to thank all my students. In particular, I want to thank the students in APAC, Asian Pacific American Club. As an immigrant, I struggled with my own identity. Now I proudly identify myself as Asian American because you guys convinced me it is cool to be Asian. So at this stage of my life, it's important to be cool, right? To feel cool. So in that sense, you kids are my role model. As your advisor, I'm extremely proud of the impact you have had on the community. As language teachers, we strive to help students develop a new perspective and appreciation of different cultures. It gives Mr. Chen and I tremendous joy to know that our work also helped a lot of Asian American students to reconnect with and to take a great pride in their heritage. In the past 20 years, the Chinese program has grown more than 200%. Over 140 students participated in China Exchange, and many of the students continued their interest in Chinese or China. So it is rewarding to know that our work has had such a positive impact on the students. But we couldn't have done it without the support from the community. In BHS, we don't work alone. We support one another and we have each other's back. Just an example, half of my department is here. Rachel edited my speech, and Yuki, who no longer works here, drove from Connecticut just to cheer me on, so thank you. Whatever you think I have accomplished thus far, I did it with the loving support from my family, my colleagues, my students, and also their parents, such as Karen Situ, Otto Chen, Deborah Wang, Qiqi Wu, and Andrew Liang, who have made generous donations to APAC's fundraising events for the last few years. So tonight, I'm accepting this award, the Woman of the Year, on behalf of everyone on my path. The honor belongs to all of us, men and women. Thank you.
Ms. Shorter's students like to come up for a photo with her, please? And the colleagues too. She wants everybody up there. So anybody who knows her can come up here and have a little photo.
If we can just freeze frame for a moment, so we can do photos afterwards. Or you can start to organize yourselves. I just want to quickly do special thanks. So these flowers, all purple, came from Albert's Florist in Coolidge Corner. The gift certificates came from the Brookline Booksmith. We very much thank Corbin and the Brookline Interactive Group for memorializing this event forever. And obviously to the Brookline Public Library and their staff. To Dr. Lloyd Gelano and Caitlin Starr, who's in the back, who helped greatly throughout so much of the logistics administration and even lemonade. Everything all the way down to the lemonade, thank you. Many thanks to the Brookline tab, and I see Abby out and about here, and also the Brookline patch. Many thanks to the teachers, the administrators who helped support the essay contest, all those who nominated women, for this event, and many thanks also to Hadassah Margolis and Lauren Viella for the impact that you have in Brookline. Thank you also to Lee Shorter, and my personal thanks is to the fellow commissioners I have here tonight, those who weren't able to make it. Thank you also obviously to our select board, school committee, and everyone who's here to support us in this community. And I see select board member Heather Hamilton is here. I need new glasses, I think. Can't see everyone. So many thanks to everyone who I think we've heard in all these essays and nominations really makes Brookline a better community and keeps us striving towards a more welcoming and inclusive community. So with that, I welcome you to take all the pictures you can in the world. Share them on the Brookline Commission for Women's Twitter and Facebook page. Have fun. And thank you so much. Celebrate National Women's History Month all year. Thank you. Bye.